Hello there. Hi, Ying. All right,
Hello.
I think there are people watching us, so I'm going to get started. All right. Hi, everyone out in the world, or I'm going to start saying Quantic verse. I think that might be fun to try. My name is Grace Liao, and I'm one of the engagement coordinators here at the Quantic School of Business and Technology. It brings our team incredible joy to welcome yet to start another installment of our Quantic Conversation series here on LinkedIn, where we bring our Quantic students, our staff, and other community members to the stage for an authentic conversation. And you can't see her, but she's very much behind the scenes and helping us out. Producing this event is Kelsey Duggan from our marketing team. She's amazing. Thanks, Kelsey, for making sure everything's working. Now, for today's session, just like all of our other ones so far, it'll be approximately 45 minutes. And if you need to go and can't stay, then no problem. This is recorded, and you can always find it on our LinkedIn account page under the video section. So definitely come back if you can't finish with us. And we also encourage you, whoever you are, whether you're a student, not a student, someone just passing by, share this out with your friends and family, colleagues. This is a great way for any one of you to get to know, um, of course, our guests better, but really to get to know Quantic better in a very personal and authentic way. So absolutely share it out. It's free, doesn't cost you anything, and just send them the link. Now, for those of you who are in Quantic or are just interested, maybe if you have a friend or a colleague who could be considering an MBA and is really thinking about what they should do, and they want to learn more from people like Ying, our guest today, or just be in a really great program, encourage you to head over to our website, quantic.edu. Check us out. We are actually accepting applications right now for our September cohort. And definitely consider us. We are a little bit different, and that's what people love about our program. And we have now posted down here also a number in case you want to talk to someone in person. We have advisors available to you, and we also have an email you can reach out to set up a consult. So any which way that would help you learn about us more, go for it. Now, audience members, um, as we get into this session, your participation is really important. It makes it so much more fun for everyone involved. There are a couple different ways you can participate from the comfort of your home or wherever you happen to be. First of all, tell us where you're joining in from. Always so fun to see where in the world you are. So literally you can write something like, "Hi, I'm Grace from Little Neck, New York. I'm sitting on my sofa in my sweatpants with my cat on my lap," anything, or you talk about the weather. And then that's one way you can participate. Another way to participate as we get into this conversation is if you hear something that really resonates with you, like, I totally agree with that, or that's something for me to think about, drop something in the comment box. It's just another way for you to engage with this larger conversation. And definitely talk to each other, network. You are in LinkedIn already. This is the natural playground for you to network. If you see other people in this event that you're interested in reaching out to, go for it. Why not? And if you have a question, as Ying and I have our discussion, feel free to drop that in the comment box. We may or may not get to it, and we will be doing some questions and answers in the last 15 minutes of our session. Now, I do have a question for you, whoever has shown up right now, and you can go ahead and type in the comment box, and we'll revisit this topic later, is if you have or are thinking about or even mildly considering starting your own business, what is one thing that is preventing you or that is keeping you back? So again, if you are thinking about starting a business or you're even in the process or even entertaining that seed of thought, what is one thing that prevents you from moving forward, or what is one thing that's holding you back? And so, Ying, maybe we'll look at some of the answers and see if we can play with that later. All right, now I need to get to my shout outs. As you are writing some of those things in the comment box, must do this part. First of all, have to shout out to our Quantic students and alumni who are entrepreneurial minded, who are relentless pursuers of learning, mission driven, and as I mentioned, hailing from all cities, towns, provinces, and countries all over the world. So that is always one of the most exciting things about our students. And if you are not a Quantic student and you are passing by or someone told you to stop by, we welcome you. We are so excited that you're here with us because this conversation, it's really meant for all of us. It is not exclusive to Quantic students. It is not exclusive to myself and Ying. We will hopefully talk about things that everyone can take a little bit away from. All right. Now, Ying's been very patient, so let me make you feel even more awkward and talk about you for a moment and shine some light on you. So sitting next to me on screen is Ying Chen. Ying has gained over a decade of experience in multicultural and multilingual management and project consulting in Asia, EMEA, and Latin America. He advises individuals, small, medium businesses, corporations in various industries on national, international expansion, with a particular focus on branding and business growth measures, including localization, cultural intelligence, communication, sales growth strategy, and digital implementation. So you kind of do it all, Ying. You really do. Um, Ying was born in Taiwan, raised in Argentina and the US, and currently splits his time between Germany, Turkey, and literally wherever he is needed. And he runs the brand management company Delineas. I don't know if did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Delineas Brands in Germany and Colombia, which he established in 2007. So enough from me. I'm going to take a moment now. Ying, would you like to greet the audience?
Hi, everyone. So thank you, Grace, Kelsey, and the Quantic staff for organizing this and giving me the opportunity to share some of my experiences. Yeah, like Grace said, I'm currently actually in Germany, but not at home, but in Düsseldorf. So I'm in a hotel right now. This is not my usual setting. Hopefully, the internet doesn't cut off in the middle. But no, and yeah, so pretty much Grace said uh, did a great introduction. There's not much more to say to that. One thing about what I can say about the name Delineas was I always have to explain it because people don't really know how to say it. They say Delineas or D. They don't even know how to finish it. So it kind of, and maybe this can kickstart the conversation about how I got into branding and stuff as well. Well, this was kind of the last straw of it when I was thinking of going independent, and it actually came. The name came to me at 3 a.m. in the morning. I actually woke up and took my phone and actually wrote it down. All the explanation, everything came in. I think, and as an entrepreneur, you usually have those nights when you keep working, even if you're not working in your head. And it's actually a split from lineas. So lineas is in Latin to draw a line. It represents a line. It's sort of the inspiration behind it, I guess, if you can call it that, is based on my family background, which is I grew up in a Taoist family, and Tao in Chinese means the road. So I've always kind of sort of subconsciously walked the road, so to speak. And the DE in front of me is comes from to draw a line. So in English, you have the word delineate. In Spanish, you have delinear. So it kind of I just kind of combined both together, and it just came up. Yeah.
It wasn't an accident. It was the 3 a.m. Light bulb. And
Yeah.
uh, and so I'm gonna just back up a moment here. So I met Ying in person. I met him at a conference, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And of course, I had a couple conversations with him leading up to this event. And I am every single time I am just I am when I think about the multicultural aspects of who he is in one person, of course, being he's Taiwan, Argentina, I mean, literally all over the place. Your journey has taken you to so many places, and you are not just third culture, you're probably third, fourth, fifth culture. And that's pretty unusual, at least not the people I know. Not a lot of us have so many, are such a blend of cultures. And so even as you started your own business, in 2007 and you came up with this name, that is, I see that as a representation of who you are as well. That's so core to who you are. And culture is something that will also weave through this conversation, that it's core to who we are in a lot of ways, but it's also very important in the world as we're practicing business and interactions, that to keep in mind culture aspect of things. I'm going to ask, I have to ask the simple question that I ask everyone, and we'll get into some of the topics we'll cover today. So I wanted to ask you, you're very busy man, I know for sure. You have a wind down routine. Like when you're ending your day and you've done 10 million calls, run around all over the city, is there something that you do to wind down, to decompress?
Uh, depending on where I am actually, but the rule of thumb usually is generally just go out and walk around,
Hmm.
uh, and just look at stuff, with no particular reason. Usually that calms me down. Not just calm me down. It's just it gives me also kind of like it spreads out my brain enough so that I don't think about what I have done and what I still need to do.
Yeah.
And usually I find something interesting, so which sparks something else for the future. So, or it comes up, I come up with a solution of about something that I haven't seen before. So yeah,
Okay.
I usually just browse shops and the area where I'm at. Yeah.
I think that's great. That's a good one. I like what you said there, that it spreads out my brain,
Mm.
because the maybe space is what matters. Sometimes we're so confined into I literally work in this little, like, 2 by 2 little area, and sometimes just getting our body out of the space a little bit might be a great way. And by the way, Ying, I don't know if you'll be able to see it later as we you and I keep talking, you might notice that some people definitely did answer the question I had in the beginning, so that'll be interesting.
Mhm.
Um, okay, so lots to cover, but I want to cover your Quantic story. Definitely want to revisit entrepreneurship, because that's so important for many of our audience members. And of course, I mentioned culture. But now let's talk about your Quantic story. How did you find your way to Quantic? Just give us the origin story of basically how you and I are now talking.
Yeah, sure, of course. Actually, it actually began in 2006 or 2007, I think it was. I just switched jobs to a VC, and then I was just looking to do an MBA. I thought that was the next step. So, I actually was going to be part of the founding class of the Cologne Rotterdam program, which was great. Everything was fun. It was but then in the one moment I said, it didn't feel right. And before that, I also looked into Smartly back then. It was called. I said, why not look into online programs? But I think like everybody else back then, you saw something, online school, kind of with this face, skeptical face. Is this really worth it, or does it? How does it work, etc., etc. So essentially, I parked everything, and it just so happened that a client of mine who is a current student actually of Quantic, Sutida, if you're there, hello. I found out that she had started Quantic, and then I went back and I looked at it, and I decided to apply. She was also part of one of my, so to speak, sponsors, so to speak, if you can call it that.
Sure.
So yeah, and this is how I ended up here, and I've never looked back. I mean, it's fantastic. What I love most about it is the pragmatism
Mm.
about it. I'm a very pragmatic person. So besides the schoolwork and what we call schoolwork, it's very, they have very real life examples where, at least for a lot of entrepreneurs or professionals like us, like we are, I think we can directly apply it, so to speak. In my case, I would do a lesson, and then something about work would directly come up related to it, and then I could find maybe solutions, or even think about how to do things differently, or even it would count even as a validation of
Mhm.
something that I've done, but I didn't know that it was that way, theoretically. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, this last thing that you just said, the validation aspect, because that's so important, because many of our students, and including yourself, you have experience. It's not like you're coming into the business learning with nothing. You've had your professional life coming into it, and so many of our students do. So they know a thing or two already coming in, but then having it framed in an academic way, or to see the theory or the name for it. A lot of students or people have told me, "Oh, yeah, I've always done that, but I just didn't know there was a name for it. But now I know there's a name for it, and that's the validation aspect of our own knowledge is equally as important as gaining new knowledge. So I
Mhm.
think that's quite powerful. And um, the when you made this decision, which I really appreciate the honesty. I think it's really important to be honest about um, how we come to decisions. That we do question things. We're like, is that for me? That looks a little weird. Am I going? But I want to ask a question kind of related to how you make your decisions, because you said something about something may not feel right, or what do you have a kind of like a principle or set of values that just are a constant for you as far as in general, maybe not Quantic related, but just as you approach the world, how when you make decisions, is there something that is underlying that?
I mean, I have to admit, I go a lot with gut, with
Mhm.
my gut. It's a gut feeling, and it's usually never wrong. I don't think in that sense it's about the experience, because as you grow up, you also have experience. No matter how old you are.
Yeah.
So I would always say, like, go with your gut, first. But then, as I get older, I also think about pragmatism. I
Mm.
don't want to. I use the experience that I gained to think that, is this too much of a hassle, or is this something that maybe down the line I don't really want to take? It sounds cool right now because every new toy is shiny,
Yes.
but can I really pull it through? Then you start thinking about that. So
Mhm.
um, I would say, yeah, gut. Go with your gut. Be consequent, of course, with your decisions. There's no blaming someone else for whatever happens, I think.
Yeah.
And be pragmatic. Just do it. Try it. Quantic does a great job in offering those trial courses in the beginning, and it's great. Because you get a feel of it, and you say, oh, okay, I could do this or not. Also.
Mhm. I really like that. It's a nice balance. Go with your gut, because sometimes going with our gut, I don't know about you. I guess you're one of the good ones. Yours is right, but sometimes mine is definitely wrong. But the pragmatism aspect is important. We don't have time to or resources to waste on things just for it to go wrong. So I really appreciate that gut feeling and pragmatism, and maybe that applies to entrepreneurship too. We'll talk about that in a moment. But back to your experience with Quantic for a little bit longer. So one of the really exciting parts of our program, and certainly not everyone can participate and it doesn't always work out, but even as a virtual program, we do have in-person conferences. Like I mentioned, that's how I met you. I definitely was running around like a chicken without a head. So I don't know that you and I had that many conversations, but I definitely remember meeting you there. And this was last fall. We actually ran several conferences between September and November. You and I met in Dubai. Now, and actually next week, we're going to be starting up our conferences for 2022, and I'll be in Bangkok next week. You did go to the Dubai conference. Just really generally speaking, first off, what was your expectation to when you decided to go to the 2-day conference in Dubai?
Oh, I just wanted to get away from that was, I think, most of the people there wanted to do that.
Fair.
uh, yeah, yeah, no, I mean, the it was fantastic. I mean, I didn't really. It's one of the rule of thumbs that I have as well is not to have any expectations. Just
Mm,
blank.
mm,
And just go there and then see what happens. Because there's nothing is perfect really. So why have expectations for a lot of things? Go prepared and that's it. No. And it was great because I was actually very positively surprised, and I think my colleagues who went there also noticed that. You guys probably did as well. That it was such a it's kind of a hand in glove environment. It just fit perfectly. It was very chill. Everybody, you could see that everybody had the same mindset.
yeah.
um it was kind of, you just came into home, sort of. And then everybody was, you could mix and match with everybody, literally. The only bad thing was it was a bit short, but
It was only 2.5 days, right? It flew by.
yeah. But I mean, that was I would recommend it. I know there's some classmates who've asked me if it's worth it. I said definitely yes if you can. I know everybody's busy, but
Yeah.
I think even as an alumni, I'm, for example, I'm planning to attend. I'll be finishing already, but I'll be planning to attend Berlin in
Oh,
October.
nice.
Yeah. So just the experience is fantastic, and only if only just to exchange ideas and talk to people is already worth it, because the entrepreneurial mindset of everybody in the program is fantastic. And the wide range of experiences, and actually um, roads, that everybody took to get there is great to hear.
Yeah.
Mm.
I really appreciate the approach that you have, which is go in prepared, but not with a lot of expectation. And um, I've been to a couple of conferences in the role that I'm in, and I was quite blown away as well at the ease of not just conversation, and I echo all of the thoughts that you just shared. There was just this, you just slide right in there, and then suddenly you are meeting 70 other people in a very short span of time. And usually that there's always a little bit of transition or, awkward conversation, one or two here. Oh, okay, yeah, maybe they're not really for me. But that I have theories. I don't know, I can't prove them, but I do think the fact that it's a group of people who are coming together through a learning program. It's not a trade show, it's not a business conference, it's not a college retreat, although sometimes it felt like that too. I'm like, "Oh, it's like a lot of older children here," but in a very mature way. Just, and happy to see people, and it was a really balanced, I felt like by the end of 2.5 days, the fact that people, wanted more is a good sign, and those connections are quite powerful. I think upon that experience quite often. I think, "Ah, now I know people. You're in Turkey and Germany, now we have friends all over the world." So it is quite, and it's just something you can't replicate in
One
any other
thing,
way.
one thing I was surprised about was also that there were people from different cohorts. So,
Yeah,
and it was I didn't think about that, but it's actually pretty cool how you guys, how we were able to mix and match, and then
yeah.
everybody was trying to also help each other out. Maybe the people who were more advanced, they would say, "Oh yeah, yeah, wait for that module or this and that."
Yes, yes.
I
It's
don't
true.
remember her name, but she also she came in and then she was also doing the exam. she she actually had the exam during the Dubai conference, so she was.
That is so fun. You know what? There you go. That's an example of how Quantic works. It's very meta. You can be at a Quantic conference working on your Quantic lessons, and no one would know it because it's on your phone. It's funny, actually. All right, I'm going to switch gears now into entrepreneurship, which is really, that's your jam. So let's talk about that a little bit more. And are I would say everyone in a business program has some thought of being part of one, maybe a side hustle, or truly diving into an actual business of their own or doing one already. So it's in everyone's mind in some way, shape, or form. And actually, I do see. So I'll ask you a question, but we can kind of ping pong a little bit and see what other people have talked about when we get there. I can see some of the. By the way, thanks for the comments that you've all sent in. This is really helpful. So you've talked about a bit of your story and how you started the business and the name of it. Maybe let's do advice. What would you advise any fledgling entrepreneur who's thinking about starting a business? Let's just start there.
Okay, I mean, first of all, it's about thinking about what you your whole purpose of it. No, I mean, whether it is to in my case, for example, I don't know, everybody's different. No, but in my case, is I wanted to achieve flexibility in my life. I wanted to build a life where I didn't need a vacation from. I usually, when I travel, it's because I'm working as well, but I try to mix both at the same time. Um, yeah, I mean, just for that's I think that's the first thing. That's the basis of it. Also, I use it as well on the basis of my work when I advise clients about branding and how they should start with their plans, their strategy. Is what is the foundation of everything? Where do you want to go? What is the purpose? What is, and then the rest of the stuff comes. All the marketing, all the programming that comes afterwards.
Mm,
If you don't have that, then you're literally just starting off on the wrong foot. You will run into walls. I can guarantee you that, and
mm,
spend a lot of money, burn money for
mhm,
things that might not be necessary at certain moments.
mhm.
So that would
Uh,
be one. Mhm.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, no, no. That
Okay.
was
So what you're just talking about right now, to have that proper foundation or to know the why, is that something that, uh, w- so in the clients that you've seen and the different people you've interacted, um, what is just what's preventing, or is there a barrier for people to understand that foundation? Is there something distracting them from getting to the core of that? Do you find that to be the case?
I don't think it's about distraction. I think it's about setting priorities.
Mm,
Because everybody, like I said, everybody's different, and then you cannot really expect one rule to be apply. To be able to apply to everybody. And this comes hand in hand, I guess, with about a little bit about cultural intelligence. Everybody,
mhm,
not only people within the same culture are different, but then I've handled clients who cooperated with clients who are from all over the world, and then it's about understanding that, hey, they might think differently, maybe their foundations are differently, but the underlying basis of us as a person is it always exists, and you
mm,
should start with that. It's the same with a company as well. A company also was founded at one point,
mhm,
and the founders had a vision, uh, and it's usually like it's about finding that one and then going from there. Yeah.
mm. For you, for your business, was it more the gut feeling or was it the pragmatism that drove you to start your business?
I think it was pragmatism, but also a
Ah,
little bit gut feeling. The thing is, that's a good question because I come from a very specific consulting background, and the issue with consulting is that usually you tackle certain projects, and then on the strategy level, and then on the execution level, you involve several different departments and then several different disciplines,
mm,
and usually when what consultancies do or consultants do is they draw the strategy, and then they hand over the execution to diverse teams or diverse project managers, diverse companies, third party companies or groups who help them piece it together and then pull it off.
mm,
However, I always found that very tedious, and usually you use a lot of resources, time, money,
mm,
energy, and a large percentage of the projects who are run like that usually don't get the desired results.
mm,
So I figured, why don't we create a company where we can cover we can become sort of like the right arm, not only in the consultant side, but in the execution side as well, so that everything flows in one direction, with one line, one head, one project manager or two, and then everything is aligned from the very beginning, instead of doing the strategy, then picking the pieces and then trying to put the pieces together, and then looking back and then thinking, oh, what do we do afterwards? you know
Um,
so
oh,
yeah.
interesting. So you saw it happen in front of you, and you thought, this can be better. And also, you were involved in so a lot of inefficiencies, and so you
Mhm.
saw the opportunity. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so that makes sense now. And in our role, we talk to so many students, and you're all in different industries and backgrounds. So I have a very simplistic view of. I'm like, I know Ying's an entrepreneur, but I don't really know what he does. But the management consulting background makes sense now that you do work across multiple sectors. Have that
Mhm.
agility from your experience before. I want to I want to roll in some of the responses that we got from my original question, which is what's keeping people from taking the next step into their entrepreneurial adventures. And many people said that capital is a barrier for them. What would you advise, or maybe even share your own story of how do you overcome that barrier?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds simple, but it is simple, so keep it simple. Not really, keep it simple. Yeah, don't dream like, oh, we become, I want to become this big by X time. Yeah, sometimes the size is not doesn't really matter in that sense.
Mm,
It's about, I always compare this with Legos. Once you have the foundation, you start building the first piece of Lego, and then you put it on the foundation. Then you put the next piece on top of it.
mm,
And everything works while you're still building the house, so to speak, or whatever you're building with that Lego piece. Um, so keep it simple. And in my case, what I did was, I bootstrapped it. I had no outside capital. I used money I had saved up.
mhm,
I found some clients, and then I started working. Creating the processes with
mhm,
the clients together. When I felt comfortable, I quit my job, and then I started doing it full time. And that's when the new hires started coming in, etc., etc.
mm,
So, you know, it's part of being consequent and being especially patient, in that sense. So, of course, that was my model, and it worked. It works for this type of businesses. However, we're seeing a lot also of clients who are tech startups, or people who are in that startup environment that's fast scaling up. That's a
mhm,
different story. Then I would say find a good mentor, um, consult with a lot of people, ask them any question you have to, find
yeah.
a very good accountant, because that's important. That's very, very important. And,
Remember
and
that. Write that down, everyone.
yeah,
Finally, content.
find an accountant and ask them all the questions you have to, because if a good accountant will tell you the loopholes also in the system that you can, take advantage of, to kickstart. And
Mm,
then, yeah, your business plan, and find investors. That's how everybody does it in the end, no? But in the end, it's about, the more you're armed with information about the market, the better. So, but either way, I think the underlying concept of keeping it simple and pragmatic
yeah.
applies to anything, any business you're thinking about.
Okay. That's important. Thank you for um, yeah, hear that, right? This is what I love podcasts. I love listening because, and then hopefully someone out there is heard what you just said, because sometimes we just need to hear it said once by someone else for it to sink in. Like, okay, yes, that's a reminder I needed. Thank you so much for that. Now, there are a couple of other ones that were people feel or say are barriers. Fear of failure. Say to that. That's a big one. That's true.
Look, nothing is perfect. Okay, I think the fear of failure comes because we're so bombarded with by the media and everything surrounding us that, oh, look at that business, look at the success of this person, of that person, you know. Look, nothing is perfect. So what do you have to fear really of, what you started something which is already courageous, you know, and even just thinking about it is courageous because you're thinking outside the box. And just the most surefire way to start something is, like I said, just keep it small steps, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and just keep building on it, you know. And it doesn't matter if it takes 2 years or 3 years or even 6 months, who knows, you know. But as long as you start, and then you start building on it, you create your foundation, you start building the Lego house on it or whatever. Let's
Yeah.
start, I don't know, it doesn't matter, you know. But just
Star. Sorry.
something like that, that just start with that. And as long as you have something, people talk about in as MBAs, we talk about MVPs a lot, you know.
Yeah.
Even a piece of paper with your letterhead is already kind of like an MVP, or it's part of the bigger MVP.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So if you think about those things, then you will advance and you'll advance. And then as you gain more experience and you talk to more people,
mm-hmm.
you attend more seminars or even do Quantic, then the idea will start shaping up, and then at one point it will click, and then you will know, this is how it is.
This
Yeah.
is how it is. Let me ask you a question. So, how has how has your business surprised you? Uh, has it, because maybe you had an idea in the beginning and you had somewhat of a vision or a sense of things, but just like anything organic and living, it somehow ends up sometimes in places or in shapes and forms that we don't expect. Is there anything that's surprised you over the last several years running your business?
I think the reception of, that the finding out that the most of the clients or project we've worked on had the same challenges and same issues. And that has surprised me a lot, because you would think like a giant corporation, would have everything figured out. That's why they're so giant. But I mean, in the process, within a lot of them had so many issues. And maybe they don't see it from the inside, but as an outsider in this case, you can easily pinpoint a lot of things. Doesn't mean that you're always right, because sometimes those issues are there for a reason, and they take a bit longer, to iron out. But
Mhm.
I think that's the most surprising and the most gratifying and surprising thing, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Surprises are always fun, right? And especially if they're good ones. Where do you, and actually, before I ask you another question, let me just take a quick look to see if there are any other capital. Definitely came up a lot. Not having. Um, what if I have an idea, but I don't have anyone else to do it with? So not having a business partner, for instance, to complement my skills.
um, Again, just start small, keep doing what you can, what
Mhm.
because once you create something, you write something down. I always like writing things down, because it brings it out, it puts, it helps me organize it.
Yeah.
But doing the little things, having something you can hold on to,
Mm.
creates a powerful sensation. And it
Mhm.
doesn't matter if you don't have a business partner, because in the beginning, or if you want one, even, you don't know yet either. You don't not always have to use have another business partner. Sometimes you can start slowly, you can start yourself, and that business partner may come along later,
Mm.
as you mature.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So there's always a way to start. It feels like a lot of what's been shared by the audience, and just even when I reflect a little bit on what would stop me from, for instance, doing something, is that there are just certain expectations or assumptions of, well, that's how the world works, or this is the only way I know, and if I don't know more than this, then oh well, I have to stop. And what I really appreciate about all the things you shared, Ying, and kind of the underlying fabric of who you are is there's there's a very creative aspect to all of this as well. The thinking out of the box and noticing things that that maybe you weren't paying attention to, like, oh, that actually could be something to factor in. Back to the spreading the brain out. Maybe a lot of this does have a lot to do with spreading our brain out a little bit, but also being okay and intentional about small steps. I think that's
Mhm.
pretty huge. At least that's what I'm getting from you.
Yeah, the main thing is flexibility and pragmatism, I would say. Just
Yes.
keep it simple. It never fails, you know.
It never I'm writing that down. It never fails. All right, I'm gonna
No,
see
I
what
mean,
happens.
in management, you know, when you run teams or when you run individuals, you know, or you have a lot of different team members, especially from different cultures
Yeah.
or even education levels or professional experience level, you know, it's about understanding and then just saying, okay, let's build something until then, and then we keep building from that, you know, so everybody learns at the
Mm,
same time, and then you minimize the failure, so to speak.
mm.
Hmm.
Minimize it. I like that also. All right, we're actually just about we're coming close to the end of time. Not end of time, but the end of the session. And I have a question. As far as your multicultural self, I'm going to go back to that one. Your identity as Ying Chen, you know, you're like if I imagine like I sectioned you off into percentages and chopped you up into pieces. Kidding. Which of the cultures in you, part of you, do you identify with more? Is it the Taiwanese part, the Argentinian? Is there even that? I'm just curious, which culture is a little bit more of a major quest for you?
Yeah, I mean, on my personal side, you know, it's more about 60% Argentinian, and then the rest of the 40% is kind of a mix. You know, I have my Asian upbringing, then you know the U.S. education. I've been there for, you know, I also half grew up there.
Yeah.
Then European side, which I like, you know, for the most part, and you know, it's just kind of but as I get older, it kind of that 40% is shifting more towards 50-50, you know, a bit. So it's yeah, sometimes it gets confusing, I have to admit, you know, a little bit sometimes, but yeah, it's fun, you know, I just take it as it goes.
There you go. It does change. Nothing is static. Everything is dynamic. So
Yeah.
maybe that's another larger takeaway is that we as individuals, personal, professional, learning as a student, it is all quite dynamic, and we have to go with the flow a little bit. I
Mhm.
really enjoyed our conversation, and audience, I hope you gained a few nuggets of wisdom there. I definitely jotted a few things down. Keep it simple; it never fails. I am going to put that in my journal to remind myself. Um, Ying, thank you so much for spending time with us. And if is it where should they find you if they want to tap your shoulder with a question?
Oh yeah, I mean they can always write me a private message. I know sometimes there's some more private questions about it, and I don't mind just give me some time if I don't reply immediately. Just, but yeah, I don't mind. Just feel free to write me on LinkedIn, and then we can see what we can do.
That's awesome. Very generous spirited person, which I really appreciate also. You're going to be popular for sure right after this. I mean, you're going to get a bunch of requests. So I think we're going to wrap things up. Audience out in the world, appreciate you taking some time to hang out with us a little bit and listen in. Hopefully, like I said, you gain some wisdom. If you're, like I mentioned in the very beginning, if you're interested in learning more about Quantic and all the reasons why Ying did give us a chance, even though at first he was like, but is fully convinced that this was the right program for him, then you can head over to our LinkedIn page or you can even reach out to me and I'll direct you in the right way. And I think that's it. I'm going to bid you all farewell. Have a great day, night, or morning, depending on where you are. And we hope to see you at a future event.
Thank you, guys. Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.